to NHL Nightly with your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, aka the Sports Beard, along with Perlo Wisdom, the NHL handicapper extraordinaire, and Rico Inberry, goal-scoring prop dynamo.
Hey, no Rico, no Barry, and Barry, no Perlo in Edmonton/Indiana, no degenerate Bostonian. Tonight, I have Kevin Olynyk from the Shifts and Pucks podcast. We're doing a simulcast, the Sports Beards NHL Nightly with the Shifts and Pucks boys. And Kevin, how's it going, man?
Oh, it is great, Jeremiah. One of the best times of the year. The NHL playoffs is here. And although the two teams I cheer for are not in the playoffs, this is one of the most intriguing first rounds in history.
Yeah, I think that this year, more than any year, I think 7 to 10 teams could win the Stanley Cup realistically based on what's happening, what's going on. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Just to remind the listeners, if they're not a fan of your show, Shifts and Pucks, the teams you root for are the Vancouver Canucks and Calgary Flames, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
And I think, of course, it's funny, one team comes into the offseason with a whole bunch of momentum. The other, the Calgary Flames come out with a whole bunch of momentum, and the Canucks, unfortunately, just a very, very different vibe coming out of Vancouver. But I mean, the Flames just, you got to give that team a whole bunch of actually, let me just add this. Wasn't it surreal in a lot of ways, Jeremiah, that the Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets were the last two teams that were eliminated to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean,
and almost the same way.
So I looked at Calgary a little bit differently because of the Johnny Gaudreau thing, but for me, it was all about the Columbus Blue Jackets. I know he played there for the majority of his years, had his best years there and stuff in Calgary, but he had been gone for one or two seasons. Had been one or two seasons.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought, to me, I know he was huge in Calgary. I know his parents came there and all that. Nothing against any of that. I'm just saying, for me, I felt like Columbus was the Johnny Gaudreau and Calgary was just a great story. You know what I'm saying? But I get you being a Calgary Flames fan. You guys were feeling the same way. Let's make it for Johnny Gaudreau. It would have been cool to see both those teams make it, obviously, both, in separate conferences or what have you. I wanted to segue. You brought up Vancouver, and before we talk about, there's some more things I'd like to talk about Vancouver, but initially, let's just discuss real quick before we get into the playoff matchups and breakdowns and stuff. Rick Tocchet, what is your feeling? Do you have a warm and fuzzy for Rick Tocchet coming back to the Vancouver Canucks? You're in the Vancouver area. For people who don't know, Kevin works in Vancouver, and he's got his finger on the pulse there. You're listening to Donnie and Dolly. You're hearing all this stuff all day. The Vancouver. What's your warm and fuzzy on Rick Tocchet coming back to the Vancouver Canucks?
I honestly think he is coming back. I think that this was an exhausting season for him. I think there's no question. I mean, he talked about it in the press conference. One of the quotes he said was the amount of meetings that he had. I mean, the whole Pettersson-Miller feud, I think, just exhausted that entire team, including Quinn Hughes. But I think he's going to come back. I really do believe that. I know that people have.
Do you have? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead, finish your point.
I know that people have connected him with Philadelphia, but I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Like that, the Philadelphia team is in a big rebuilding mode. Vancouver might be in a rebuilding mode, and Quinn Hughes wants him back. And I think that that's right now. It is all about what Quinn Hughes wants, because you have to keep Quinn Hughes, and because he's about to sign a contract here in a couple of seasons, and he wants to keep Rick Tocchet. I think Rick Tocchet is staying.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there about Quinn Hughes specifically. I could see why Quinn Hughes would want to keep Rick Tocchet. Obviously, he had one of the best years of his career last year. This year, not so much, but I feel like a lot more of that had to do with what was going on in the locker room there.
And he was
I
injured. He had
I have a
different injury, but
yeah, no, I got you. I have a different feel for this. I believe Rick Tocchet is gone. I believe if the Philadelphia Flyers, which by the way, I happened to be at the Frozen Four. If you didn't know, I was at the Frozen Four. I know everybody on my channel is probably tired of hearing that. I spoke to Keith Jones, who's a Western Michigan alum, and I'm certain he wants their coach as his coach, but I don't think their coach is going to leave. And if you're not aware, Western Michigan played BU, who had 14 NHL drafted players. By the way, Western Michigan didn't have a single NIL deal. So I can't say the same about BU, but that says a lot about the Western Michigan head coach and Keith Jones having some ties there. But I believe if they don't get that guy, and I don't know why I can't think of his name.
the Google machine will help us.
No, I'm doing it right now. Yeah, but I should have had it. Pat Firstweiler. There we go. Pat Firstweiler. He's been there since 2021, and obviously he just crescendoed with a hey, Patrick, also, by the way, thank you, Pam. Good to see you. Appreciate everybody being in the chat. We have over 18 here. Have a few people on the Instagram, and we've got some people viewing live TikTok. I know they can't see you, Kev, but they could tune into your feed if they want. So appreciate everybody on TikTok too. Hopefully that's coming in okay. But and please, if you want to talk NHL playoffs, chime in on TikTok. Yeah, no dog, Kevin. The man in the chat, Sam C. Kevin, his name is actually Kevin. He's from St. Louis, and yeah, so he goes by Kevin. That's his dad's account. So but we got to meet him in St. Louis. What a nice guy. Jeff Gilbert, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Yeah. So I know that Firstweiler did spend some time as assistant under Blashill and as an assistant coach. So I could see Firstweiler maybe being the choice for Keith Jones and the Philadelphia Flyers. I think there's a couple other teams that might be interested in Rick Tocchet, namely the New York Rangers. I believe Peter Laviolette will not be coming back. I don't know what your thoughts are there.
No, I don't think Peter Laviolette is coming back either.
So not to speculate, because we don't know, and we haven't heard any concrete reporting that Rick Tocchet's not going to be back with the Vancouver Canucks, but I believe he will opt out and not come back. You believe otherwise, and I love that you have that attitude there. I think it's probably what's best for Vancouver today. That being said, I think Rick had already been into some bad situations when he was with Arizona, and I think he understands what maybe bad ownership looks like. And I don't want to say that the Vancouver Canucks are bad ownership, but what's the common theme here? We've had all these problems with Vancouver really since they went to the Cup run in 2011. They've never been able to put it back together. And Kevin, I have never seen a season that's like this, where you've got this inner turmoil in the locker room, and it was allowed to fester the way it was. Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin, the actual general manager, not somebody that doesn't want to trade players away. They're very good at doing such a thing. We got dogs now. Dogs are back. So I just don't. Well, yeah, Patrick says Vancouver was a disaster. I can't think of a inner, like Buffalo isn't great right now, but they're not. They haven't been great for 15 years. I feel like I would much rather have the situation in Buffalo than what's going on in Vancouver, because Buffalo has a lot of young talent. Once they figure it out there, I think they're going to be okay. I'm not sure about Vancouver. What are your thoughts?
Well, their blue line is in good shape with Quinn Hughes, EP25, that's Elias Pettersson. There is a huge question going forward about Tom Willander if he's going to sign. BU product, played in the Frozen Four final, by the way. And as he has not signed yet, that is a concern. Their goaltending is in an interesting situation with Thatcher Demko and his health, and Kevin Lankinen, who they brought in. That forward group is the hugest question mark. And the big question mark is EP40. And Sean from Shifts and Pucks and I are going to debate this on Sunday, I think, but I'm not convinced EP40 is coming back. I just, like, for me, I don't think an organization should be paying $11.6 million for a guy to supervise his training. That is, he is very concerning to me, and I don't know what is going on. I'm not going to speculate what's going on with EP40, but
it did sound like he had an injury though that probably limited his off season, and he just, it's like that for a lot of players. If you come into camp out of shape and then you take this season to get in shape, it felt like he started to come around towards the end there, and that very well could have been the X factor there for our main man, Elias Pettersson. I'm a huge fan of him when he's playing. His last year, he was incredible.
I compare him to Crosby when he's on his game. He has a very Crosby-like way when he was on his game. But it's just I've never heard a coach talk about a player's training. Like, I've never heard that. It's weird to me that this conversation is happening with a guy that is a professional. Connor McDavid changes his training regime every year, right? Like, everybody changes their training.
I mean, he's a freak though, Kevin. I mean, like, you just not compare anybody to that guy. I don't think there's a comparison. Like, he's a unicorn.
Do you think that EP40 has the potential to be a franchise center?
Yeah, I do. Well, look. So
should there not be some freakishly thing about him? He doesn't have to be McDavid, but do you think he has to have some sort of freakish thing about him?
Well, look, here's what I'll say. Have you ever played the NHL, the video game?
Yes.
The NHL. Okay. Like, in recent years, they have players that are franchise, and then they have players that are elite, and then they have players that are, whatever. I just think Pettersson is he's not a franchise guy. Your franchise guy is Quinn Hughes. I think a lot of people probably thought 2 or 3 years ago Pettersson was going to be that franchise guy. But and that, if I'm Rick Tocchet, I'm looking. You're probably losing Besser. I don't think you're going to get that same similar. Yes, Kevin in the chat, NHL 25. But I think the last decade they've had some form of tier ranking of where a guy would be like AHL first line, NHL bottom 6, elite, So yeah, Pettersson didn't have a good year, Patrick Mafia. I agree. But I think, by the way, 31 on the live chat. I appreciate it. And Kev does too, because we're broadcasting live on his channels on YouTube and Facebook at the same time for the Shifts and Spucks. We pulled off this simulcast, Kev, even though we didn't have a bunch of crazy guests.
No. I did invite one. She couldn't make it, but it's okay. We will invite her again.
Who did you invite?
I'll tell you off air.
Okay. All right. Sweet. That sounds good. We appreciate it. I know people take a lot of time out. So yeah, I do think they probably overpaid Patrick Mafia, saying that they probably overpaid Pettersson a little bit. Probably a little rush to judgment there. I don't want to spend it all night. We've already been 15 minutes on the Canucks. Let's talk about a couple other news things. Did you want to make Joseph? How are you doing? Is there anything else you want to discuss
about Vancouver? I guess the big thing I do want to make sure that people are aware of. Former Ranger Filipino has cleared concussion protocol. So
that's awesome news. That's awesome news.
Yeah, he has fought that battle with the Rangers. And I just want to give that shout out. We can leave it there with Filipino, but he's been through a lot. That was an absolutely garbage hit by Jason Dickinson in Chicago. or for Chicago
Yeah.
year. That was garbage. Sorry if you're a Blackhawks fan, but that was garbage.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's really tough. There's nothing yeah, tough, man. And Heedle being a guy that's already being a guy that's already had a bunch of concussion problems, he's probably one concussion away from like not playing again. So
Yeah,
that's good to hear, though. That's good to hear. Okay. Artemi Panarin, the news came out.
Yeah.
In 2023 that he sexually assaulted a New York Rangers staffer. I had heard from sources. Well, right, okay, but there's a non-disclosure agreement, okay, that's out there. Okay, so this is all alleged, but it's not, because I can tell you it's not alleged because the sources I have, the Rangers hadn't allowed their social media teams to travel with the team for quite some time. And I think that incident was the reason that spurned that. So, I have it on good, like, I have good sources that are saying, you know, this thing. So not good. I said today on Twitter to one, I think Snark Messier, or one of the Capitals, Snark Messier, fun follow. I think it was the Capitals, one of the Washington Capitals feeds. I said, I think it's safe to say we're not going to hear about Tom Wilson ragdolling Artemi Panarin. And I said, also, probably a good time, if you like an Artemi Panarin jersey, to find one at a thrift store for $10, because you're probably going to be able to get a Panarin jersey for really inexpensive, pretty low class. I don't really know what there is else to say. I don't know where you're at on this. I feel like, yeah, we don't have a lot of the information, but clearly something happened. Panarin wouldn't speak on it. So like, again,
the organization has to face some sort of consequences for this, though. No, like, that's an automatic loss of a first round pick, I would think.
I don't think nothing will happen. Nothing will happen, Kevin. Nothing will happen.
What
happened? Patrick, I agree. Similar to Perry, nothing will happen. Yeah, I agree, Patrick Mafia. I think this is very similar to Perry. I had heard the rumor was that Perry got drunk and hit on a staffer at a Chicago Blackhawks event. I had heard that from a good source. Okay, they didn't report on it because they terminated his contract. The Chicago Blackhawks, though, have a little, let's say they have a little bit of history in recent years, so they were super sensitive to it. I don't think the guy that owns the New York Rangers gives a fuck, quite frankly. Not to be profane about it, but I don't think Jim Dolan cares. I'm sure he's had a million of these himself. So he doesn't care.
I guess my question for that would be, after the NHL has just dealt with the Blackhawk black eye, can the NHL, and then the Corey Perry black eye, and I'm not going to speculate what happened.
But what black eye, though? There was no black eye. Nothing happened to Chicago.
Well, with the Kyle Beach situation.
Okay, yes, that. But you're talking about, let's like keep it to the Corey Perry more recent. Corey Perry got to go to a Stanley Cup contender at league minimum.
What I'm saying, though, is with the Kyle Beach situation, and I don't think that I think the NHL looked very bad in how they handled that. I can't see Gary Bettman going through this again with the Rangers.
He's not going to do anything. I guarantee. Hold on, Patrick. I want to address this in the chat. Just let me understand. Okay, so here's what happened. This is what's reported. Okay, you can read about this. Okay, Panarin allegedly took this lady's phone, this young woman, 20-something, and took it to his room and said, if you want it back, you have to come to my room. He went to his room. First of all, she should have gone to his room, but she went to his room, and this is where he did what he was not supposed to do. So, like, this is somebody that is using their position of power to exploit someone who doesn't have a position of power. You can say what you want to. Now, again, this is all alleged. There was a non-disclosure agreement met. So that means they can't talk about it. So Yeah, we don't know the truth, Patrick. I think it's asinine that you're speculating in the chat. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't people that do that. That's very true. And those guys should be protecting themselves from all that. Absolutely. But we live in different times now, right? You know, so yeah, exactly. Pam says no means no, no matter what it said, for either a man or a woman. Exactly. Pam, you could put it the best way.
No
Okay.
means no.
Let's put that story to bed. I really didn't even want to talk about it, but it was a huge story and we had to address it. Let's talk about a good story for the New York Rangers since we're on the Rangers, and then we'll go right into our playoff preview. Sam Rosen announced his last game for the New York Rangers after 40 years of broadcasting. He's being replaced by Kenny Albert, who's been doing the radio side with Dave Maloney for, I think, 20 years. Shout out Kenny Albert, who I think does a fine job with TNT. Yeah, what are your what are your thoughts about the legendary Sam Rosen?
Well, I knew Sam Rosen more for football than the Rangers originally because of NFL on Fox. He called that. He just had a unique voice. I think this is we've lost a lot of great broadcasters, unfortunately, either age of retirement or passing. Rest in peace, Bob Cole. Rest in peace, Greg Millen. Sam Rosen is a legend, absolute legend, and he will be missed. But Kenny Albert has done a fantastic. Kenny Albert is one of the more well-rounded broadcasters out there. He does baseball, he does football, he does hockey, and I believe he's calling the Stanley Cup Final this year. I believe that this on TNT this year in America.
Yeah, Kenny Albert will be their guy, I think. Yep, him and Eddie Olczyk, I guess.
Yeah.
So TNT has the bulk of the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they have basically everything after the second round. So they use John Forsland too, I think. So
yes, they do, and of course he's done the Amazon Prime.
I actually it might be Forsland doing the finals, but Kenny, it'll either be one of those two. Yeah, it'll be one of those two. Probably be Forsland, honestly. Yeah, he also works for the Seattle Kraken, which if you're aware. So yeah. Okay, Patrick, we kind of moved on for that subject, so you can kind of just let it go in the chat, or like jog on, man. Like it's just you're speculating about something you don't know anything about. We don't know anything about it. We're just reporting what was talked about. It's a big NHL story. The Rangers didn't make the playoffs. That's a bigger story to me. But shout out to Sam Rosen. They did make him the first star after they beat them. So, yeah. Hey, Charlie, I love it. How you doing? Okay. Let's get right into the playoff previews, Kevin.
Yeah.
Here is the NHL bracket. And we will just leave this up. What do you think about this? We got my friend Charlie Dufault in here. Charlie's an Edmontonian. Oh, sorry, Patrick. Didn't mean to put that up there. Charlie is a Edmontonian, lives in that area, but he is a diehard Winnipeg Jets fan. How do you see this one turning out? And I will say before we break it down, I am a little nervous here. Let me zoom this in. We'll go in a little bit tighter on these matchups. I am a little worried about the Ehlers replacement. Like he's out, right? Is that accurate? I think
he got hurt. He got hurt in the second last game of the year, and he got hurt in the Edmonton game, and no word on whether he's playing. But the Blues don't have Dylan Holloway either, and they haven't said if he's coming back. We're starting with the Winnipeg St. Louis, I guess. Is that where we're going?
Yeah. Darkness, our friend from St. Louis, he is a Blues fan, and he's calling Jets in 6. Darkness, good to have you. Salvatore Ayani, who is I believe, Leafs fan, says he likes the Oilers and Jets to lose in the first round. Sorry, Charlie.
Well, the pressure is on Winnipeg here. I mean, they have to get past the first round. I heard our friend John talk about St. Louis having the 2019 vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where St. Louis has an edge over Winnipeg. It's not in goal, it's not on the blue line, and it's not at forward. So I
Yeah.
don't see how St. Louis wins this series.
You don't think they have an advantage anywhere, huh?
No, I don't. I think the Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg is going to regret not getting Brock Nelson. We'll get to that later, but it's not going to be in this series.
Gardner says he likes the top 6 of the Blues over the Jets, but
wild card X factor will be Cole Perfetti. I think Cole Perfetti will be a big factor in this series. I think the Jets win. I think it goes 6. I will say that I think that they're the second team. They are the team that needs to win the game. The second most importantly in in the first round. We'll get to who needs to win in the first round.
Yeah, it's the Leafs, right?
Yeah,
but it's the Leafs for sure for me. But I'll say this, I have to see it from the Winnipeg Jets. They got to win this. I'm picking them. I think Jets at 7. I think the Blues are going to give them everything they can handle. I think the Cam Fowler I think Dylan Holloway being out for the Blues is a tough loss. I also think Ehlers being out and I think Nemestikov went down too, right? So they've got a couple guys banged up now in Winnipeg. So, and I don't know if we get the injury report, but I'll put the bracket back up, but I'll look that up. So I'm going to go Jets in 6. Where are you at with your prediction?
I'm Jets in 6 as well. So it says Ehlers is week to week.
Yeah, that's not good. When it's week to week, the series could be over in a week.
Yeah, but Holloway's week to week.
Yeah, but who's more important, Holloway or Ehlers? They still have. I feel like, you think Holloway's more important than Ehlers?
Yeah. Winnipeg has a lot of other depth. I mean, Winnipeg is getting Gabe Vilardi back. They've got Alex Iafallo. I love their 4 lines of Winnipeg. They could just come after you, and that blue line is so underrated. Everybody is going to be introduced to a player. Just bookmark this guy, Dylan Samberg.
Yeah, so Gabriel Vilardi. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Here's what I have listed. Vilardi is day-to-day. Rasmus Kupari day-to-day. Ehlers is out week to week with a foot injury. There is no timeline for his turn.
Yeah, that one.
According to Ken Wiebe of the Winnipeg Free Press. Ken's a great reporter. If you don't follow him, follow him. I'm going to say they're going to play that series without Ehlers. Out is bad. Torrey Krug, we knew about him. Dylan Holloway out. No status on Holloway, but I've heard he could be back as early as game 3 or 4. So I don't think Holloway is going to play that much of a factor as far as being out. But there you go. And Patrick's already saying where he thinks Ehlers will go next year. He likes him in Calgary. The Jets have 4 lines that are working well, and I agree with that, Charlie, and that's why I'm picking the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah. Okay, so the next playoff series, we're both on the Jets here, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, the next playoff series I think is going to be like the battle of all battles, but with Jason Robertson being down, J-Rock, also a Blues fan, thanks for being in the chat, J-Rock, says Jets in 7, Holloway won't be back all playoffs most likely, even if the Blues go to the Western Conference Final. Oh, you're hearing differently. Well, J-Rock being in the thing. Okay. Yeah, and I did see the Neil Pionk signing. I liked that re-signing for them. I actually thought they could not afford to let him go to free agency. I think Shovel Dayoff has done a great job there in Winnipeg. Okay, so let's get back to the bracket. We'll go back to the bracket. For everybody where we're at here, we both have the Winnipeg Jets advancing. The next, I think we're going to agree on this next one here too. Who do you have in the Dallas, Colorado?
Okay, I am picking Colorado. But I am just the thing that has been percolating in my brain is I am wondering if I am sleeping on Dallas. They have
I don't
been
think
I
I don't
they
think you're
have
sleeping
been
on
this
Dallas.
Brazilian team. Like they were down. Like I know that Jason Robertson is out. I know Miro Heiskanen is out. But this was also the team that fought back from 2-0 on the Vegas Golden Knights, losing 2 at home last year, and got to the Western Conference Final.
They should have put Edmonton away too, but they
They
didn't.
absolutely missed the boat on that. I totally agree with you. They had Edmonton on the ropes and blew it.
The Vancouver Canucks, your favorite team, should have put Edmonton away too.
Yes,
However,
they should have.
yeah, but they had injuries, legit injuries. Demko and Besser being huge injuries that they couldn't overcome. So
and that's where
too
Dallas is at that too. But I feel like, I guess for me, I feel like I'm picking. I just
Good to see you,
wondering if I'm
Josh.
picking Colorado too easily in this. I feel like Dallas has the edge in goal with Jake Ottinger. I know that people find him inconsistent, but Mackenzie Blackwood's first playoff, we don't know. Maybe that's plays something into it. But ultimately, you've got McKinnon, you've got Makar, you've got Marty Nikas, you've got a really solid middle. You got one of the best pairs in the game, a really good blue line. And I said that we did the NHL preview show here. I said everyone was talking about how angry Connor McDavid is. Don't forget that Nathan McKinnon is also very angry, like Hulk smash angry. I see Colorado winning 6. I think.
I am 1,000,000% with you. I just Avi is on Avs in 6. Patrick says he doesn't like that so many people are. Darkness says, I just have concerns about Dallas's injuries without Robertson and Heiskanen against a team like Colorado that's got too much talent. Yeah, Chris McFarland rebuilt that roster. They got healthy down the middle. The trade for Rantanen to get Drury and Necas was an unbelievable move. In fact, Rantanen hasn't even looked that good with Dallas, let alone he didn't look good at all with Carolina. Although I give Carolina's GM a ton of credit for making that move. Unbelievable. I'll just say, great move. We need more trades like that in hockey, but you don't see superstar players get traded like that. I do. Yeah. Dallas now has Mikko Rantanen, and that means Colorado has the advantage. Avs in 7, Sal says. Yeah, I don't think it goes to 7. I just think I've been worried about Dallas's back end the whole year. And without Heiskanen, yes, I know Harley, but their right side is not good. And yes, getting Cody Ceci and yes, getting Granlund, those were nice ads. I still think Dallas is deep. These won't be easy games for Colorado. I think 7 is not that crazy. Jake Ottinger's been terrible. If I am the Dallas Stars, I'm starting Casey DeSmith. I am starting Casey DeSmith to start this series. By the way, 47 in the live chat, but on all platforms. Appreciate everybody. Okay, so we have Winnipeg advancing over St. Louis, and we have the Colorado Avalanche advancing. That's poor Winnipeg, going to have to play Colorado in the second round. The Pacific Division shakes out a little bit different here. The Vegas Golden Knights, which I can pull this back up for you guys. The Vegas Golden Knights are playing the Minnesota Wild. Who do you like here?
Let me ask, before we get into this, I want to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that I've been percolated about.
Yeah.
There's been a little under the radar story not talked about, but Marc-Andre Fleury is an ex-Vegas Golden Knight. Yeah. Marc-Andre Fleury is retiring.
Yep, but he's not starting.
I know he's not starting, but does that motivate the Wild a little? I'm just going to...
I think getting past the first round would motivate the Wild at this point because they haven't done it in forever.
That's true. And I am wondering about that a little bit.
Just on the previous series, J-Rock, who's a great contributor to a lot of shows. That's why I have in my bio, you might know me from the chat because I'm always on shows. Ceci, Lyubushkin, Petrovic is an awful right-sided D. The Avs will attack that all series long. I agree with that, J-Rock. I think.
Boy, are they going to miss Chris Tanev.
Yeah. Yeah. If they would have been able to keep him, I think that would have been brilliant too. So. Yeah, so I don't think that plays any factor, Kev. I think getting a healthy Eriksson, Ek, and Kaprizov back is the hugest factor of all, because otherwise I think the series would have been a sweep for Vegas. If they didn't have Kaprizov and Erickson Ek, I think the Minnesota Wild are done.
I think the Wild are going to push Vegas, but I just look at that Vegas blue line.
Yeah, they're championship caliber.
That is the best blue line in the I would argue it's the best blue line, complete blue line in the Western Conference. Jack Eichel has been playing at a Selke or Hart level. I don't think people are talking enough about Pavel Dorofeev, that forward.
No, he's had a great year.
He's had
Very
a great
good
year. Yeah, 30 goal scorer. Minnesota is going to push him though. Brock Faber. I mean, we're going to. The Zeev is going to play in this series.
Zeev Buium is an X factor, depending on how they play this kid. Okay, so just to give you an example, again, here I am pulling out I was at the Frozen Four. The Western Michigan the team that won the national championship beat the defending national championships, Denver Pioneers, who Zeev Buium played for. That game went to double overtime. Zeev Buium, I think, skated 37 minutes of that game. 37 minutes, and I think he is going to be Cale Makar light. This is how good this kid is.
Yeah, I've been saying this a little bit to Flame fans, and I'm not trying to put down Zane Parekh, because Zane Parekh is going to be
He's not going to be Zeev Buium.
Zeev Buium is a better defenseman than Zane Parekh.
Yeah, they missed the boat. They missed the boat.
I have been saying that to Flame fans, and they don't want to hear it, and it's tough to hear, but I have been a very high. I mean, he played a monster amount of minutes in the World Junior too. Zeev Buium did. If I say this,
it's pronounced Buium.
Zeev Buium. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing that.
Yep.
He played over 30 minutes in the World Juniors as well in the gold medal game. And he scored in overtime, if I remember, or assisted.
No. Teddy Stiga was the guy that scored the overtime winner against Finland. Yeah. I don't know if he's better than Lane Hudson, Sal. I think he's going to be very, very good. I've heard from my sources and people I know close that Cole Hudson is going to be very, very good. Who the Washington Capitals drafted. So anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Hot Take Hockey, how's it going? So 49.
I'm
50 at the live.
I do think Minnesota can push them. But I think Vegas is just a complete hockey team up and down that lineup. It's very hard. It's going to be very hard to beat them. And I think Vegas is the most complete team.
Yeah. I agree. I would love to see Minnesota take this to 7. I think Vegas. Now, if Vegas is not healthy, I've heard some stuff about Eichel and stuff. We'll see. Let me look at that real quick.
The last game against Vancouver. He played in that game.
Yeah. I don't think
the question is Pietrangelo, and of course
they don't have anybody listed on their injury report. Sal says he likes Vegas at 6. So go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I feel that they're just too complete of a team.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. Okay. This one is a perplexing one, but I think the defining factor is the home ice, Hiller being able to set the lines, and the fact that Darcy Kemper has hands down been the second best goalie all year long. I have the LA Kings beating the Edmonton Oilers, and I have them beating them in 6. Obviously, there's some health concerns. What's Draisaitl's status? What are we going to get from Evander Kane? I had Edmonton at the beginning of the year winning the Stanley Cup. They are not winning the Stanley Cup this year. I don't believe if they get by LA that they will get by the Vegas Golden Knights. And I don't think if they get by the Vegas Golden Knights, they will get by either the Colorado Avalanche or the Winnipeg Jets. I just don't. Or whoever comes out of that Central Division. I know Edmonton is polarizing, but Jeff Merrick said this today as I rewatched the show because I didn't get to watch it live. But he felt like the Oilers have played 30 games this year that were good. And that year that they went on that, in December or whatever, on that run where they were playing really good and they were firing on cylinder, they didn't beat a team with a winning record.
Yeah.
I just think they're frauds this year. I think they're older. I think they're slower. I think they miss Fogle. I think they miss Holloway. I think they miss Broberg.
I didn't think they were that good of a team last year. I think Vancouver let them off the hook. I think Dallas let them off the hook, and Florida almost let them off the hook. I think that they got, and
Yeah,
I
but
did
they had
not
that
think
one
they had a
easy
good
series against Edmonton. They had the 5-game series, which I think helped them against other teams. That's why they were able to go to longer series because they had that early first series. They're not going to get that this year. J Rock says Kings in 5. McDavid is going to lose his mind. We talked about he may not be
well,
with
let's
them.
go through where we're at with Edmonton. I think that there's some LA King fans that believe that Darnell Nurse should not be playing game 1, and I do understand where they're coming from. That was not a great play on Quentin.
I mean, I don't know how he. Yeah, I mean, I saw a different angle of it. Didn't look as brutal, but like I saw the hit Yarvi did with Florida, and didn't think that was even almost intentional, and he got 2 games for that. So, I mean, he did hit him with his head and his shoulder, but I mean, he wasn't looking. I don't even know if he meant to do it. So,
Yeah.
It's just odd the way they hand out justice in the league. So Skinner's injured and wasn't great to begin with. Kings are crazy good at home. Kings in 5. That's from J Rock.
I think this is where I'm at. I mean, I think the Ekholm injury is major. That's a massive loss. I don't like that Oilers blue line. I don't think the Oilers had a great offseason at all.
J-Rock, not to interrupt you, J-Rock says it might be more helpful to the Kings if Darnell Nurse is playing. He hasn't been terrible this year, though, J-Rock.
He has not been terrible this year. No,
Yep.
He has not been. Jake Wallman, questionable as well. Of course,
yeah, that's not good.
Here's where I'm at with the Kings. I guess this is what it comes down to. Is this the real Andrei Kuzmenko? Because
yeah, I do. I think Kuzmenko is exactly what the LA Kings needed. They needed that shot on their power play. They just needed one more offensive weapon. It was a nice get. And I know he wasn't fitting well in Calgary, but they don't need him for anything else really in LA. They can play their defensive game and they can Sarah Nurse is better than Darnell Nurse. I agree with that 100%, Sal. Sarah Nurse is a heck of a hockey player. I mean, this is a head scratcher because I have a lot of respect for Jason Gregor. He has him going to the Cup final even now.
That's Edmonton media. They're all predicting they're going to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, I know he's got to, right? He's got no choice, right? But I just can't believe in Edmonton this year. I know they've got McDavid and Draisaitl, and at times those guys can be virtually unstoppable. And I think they may very well be at times during the series. I haven't seen it on a consistent enough basis from the Edmonton Oilers. And I know there's a little bad blood now with all this. So yeah, I got Kings in 6. Where are you at with this?
I'm picking the Oilers. I know what you're saying. I totally understand that, but the Kings haven't done this in 3 years. I do think history has to come into play with here. I will say they have better goaltending this year. They better, because David Riddick is not going to be an answer in any way. If Quinton Byfield takes a step, if Brant Clark takes a step, if Kuzmenko is playing the way that they are, I think the Kings have a chance. But ultimately, I've seen McDavid and Draisaitl do McDavid and Draisaitl things for far too long to doubt that they will lose this series. Leon Draisaitl is a very good playoff performer, even at 22%. So just be very wary. I'm going to go with the Oilers, but I do understand why you're picking the Kings.
Yeah, and I understand why you're picking the Oilers. I think that Draisaitl and McDavid are like right up there on playoff points already, and they haven't won anything, but they're there. They're good, for sure. But I also do think teams have got the book on these guys. You know, they've got the book. So, and I think they know how to defend these guys now a little bit better. And they're, the older they get, the longer it goes, the more they don't win. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. Yeah. Okay. Toronto, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Florida. These are probably the 2 most exciting series. Where are you at with Toronto, Ottawa? I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Well, Toronto has to win game one, flat out. It is the most important game one for Toronto. There is all of the pressure is on Toronto. All of it. Every ounce of this. Ottawa is playing for the gambling, is playing with house money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I think that this is a damn close series though.
Yeah.
I'm
back and forth on this one myself, my man. I am.
This is where Ottawa's edge is. I think their bottom six is better than Toronto's bottom six, and I don't think it's just that close, actually. I think Shane Pinto is going to be a player that we will know a lot about.
I already know a lot about Shane Pinto, a ton about him. He's Long Island boy. He's very good.
How many people are in the chat right now?
We have 47 live.
47 people are going to learn about Shane Pinto. And there's a lot of people that have forgot about a couple of other acquisitions that I think are going to help them. David Perron is going to be a big factor in this series.
I agree.
Vincent is going to be a big factor in this series.
I agree. He moves the puck up quick. Yes, first pass, one of the best first pass defensemen in the league. That trade has worked out for both teams.
Yeah, that's a win-win trade.
Yes, I get it. Jacob Chychrun scored 20 goals for the Caps. That being said, Nick Jensen was the right shot guy that they needed in Ottawa to play with Thomas Chabot. So
they needed to bring in some maturity in that locker room, very clearly from what has happened over the years. This is Brady Tkachuk's first playoff. I hate to go against Chris Tanev, one of my favorite players, John, but I have to. I'm picking Ottawa. I think Ottawa does it. I think Ottawa walks into Scotiabank Arena, and they pull off the massive, heartbreaking upset, and Ottawa wins this in 7.
Yeah, I have been flip-flopping on this one. I think if the Leafs get by this team, I think they could go far. I think they're not afraid of Tampa. I think they have the defensive depth now. The big question mark for me is goaltending. But I think you could make the same question about Ottawa's goaltending and Ullmark, and we haven't seen it from Ullmark. I'm going to go the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 here. I think this is going to be a knockdown drag out. I think Ottawa's going to give them everything they can. I would not be shocked to see the Ottawa Senators win because they're 3-0 against the Leafs this year, and the Leafs do not play well against them. And I think Ridley Gregg is going to become a household name. He's going to be a pain in the ass. But look, they did get Scott Laughton, Chris Tanev. I like what Carlo. I like what the Leafs added. And I do think if the Leafs lose in the first or second round, Mitch Marner probably gone. John Tavares, we'll see what happens. It's going to be real interesting. So we'll see. Yeah, Matthews has to show up. Marner has to show up. Willie Nylander always shows up. Morgan Riley always shows up. Really need to see Morgan Riley do something in the playoffs because he didn't have a great year this year, I don't think. So, yeah, definitely darkness. Toronto isn't shut up and prove it. So you're going with Ottawa. I'm going with Toronto. Let's talk about the battle for Florida. The last, 5 or 6 years of the Stanley Cup Finals, we've got a representation from Florida. Tampa making it for 5 years. This could be the 6th. Tampa making 3 years in a row and winning 2 of those, and Florida making 2 years in a row and winning 1 of those. Who do you like here, Tampa or Florida?
There's going to be some Florida Panthers fans that are not going to like me, but I think Tampa is going to kick the living crap out of them.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say. Before we go too far, I think the biggest factor here is if Florida's 100%, I think this is a 7-game series and it's a flip the coin. But if Florida doesn't have everybody that they can have, I like Tampa. Tampa's been very good.
And that's part of the problem. Like the loss of Brandon Montour, the loss of Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
But Seth Jones is a nice ad if they have Ekblad.
But they also lost Aaron Ekblad for the first couple of games.
But they're going to lose the first 2 in Tampa probably anyway. I don't think it matters to Florida.
Here's where I'm at with Tampa right now. I think the player to watch out in this series is Brandon Hagel. I think he came across I do not think he appreciated, and I think that Tampa organization did not appreciate the antics that Matthew Tkachuk did at the Four Nations. I think it left a sore spot in that organization.
Well, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk has been out since the Four Nations, so it really hasn't worked out for Matthew Tkachuk, and it's worked out just fine for Brandon Hagel. I don't think they think about it at all, to be quite frank.
I don't know. I think Brandon. I remember
he had 35 goals, not single one on the power play.
Yeah,
he had an unbelievable year. He's a heck of a player. Was he undrafted and couldn't sign with Buffalo?
He was a drafted pick by Buffalo, and then they traded him.
So Tampa's got to be winning the Stanley Cup, right? Because they have a Buffalo player.
Yeah, that's how you win. That's how you win.
Yeah, Josh, my friend Josh, who's a diehard Canes fan, he likes them. Tampa in 6. I think I'm with Tampa here too, man. I don't think I can go against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have been one of the best teams in the league as of late. So J-Rock says Seth Jones is Darnell Nurse in a different uni. I actually really like Seth Jones' offensive ability. I think if they figure it out, but I got to go with Tampa here. There's no way. I actually have Tampa going all the way to the finals. So I just think they have the team. If they're healthy, they could really do it.
I don't think one more thing just before we move on here.
Yeah.
I don't think people are talking enough about Nikita Kucherov for the Hart, and he is.
Yeah, he should have won it last year. He won the Art Ross again
in the game, just plain and simple.
Second round pick. Sure wish Washington would have drafted him. That's for sure.
Everybody missed on Nikita Kucherov, and this guy, he's a villain, man. Everybody talks about Matthew Tkachuk. He's the villain. Nikita Kucherov is a dirty, dirty, nasty, nasty hockey player.
Yeah, and he's okay. So I think we're going to be talking about this next guy in Ivan Demidov, a lot like Nikita Kucherov. Washington has Montreal. Who do you like here?
I like Washington. I think Montreal is on their way. I think the Montreal Canadiens are coming. I think that there may be a legitimate argument that I would be open to hearing that Montreal is the next Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup if they play.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think in 2 to 3 years they're going to be there. Yeah, I do not think they're beating the Washington Capitals, Darkness. I'm sorry. You can be sorry because you're going to lose money if you bet on the Habs. I just think Washington. Now, the big X factor here is who's in goal. But I will say, quite frankly, if it's Charlie Lindgren, I'm fine. He got drafted by Montreal. I almost would rather him in it. Patrick says Caps in 6. I think this is Caps in 5 or 6. Caps, if they're going to make a run, they got to have a short playoff here with Montreal. I think they have the physicality. There's plenty of guys left from that team that won the Stanley Cup in 2018. They know what it takes. Ovi has said a long, long time that he wants to win. So we'll see. We'll see, Darkness. We'll see. I like the Washington here.
I think in a couple of years, if we have this chat about the series, the Canadians win, but not this year.
Yeah, I love the Canadians. And if the Canadians win, hats off to them. Yeah. But there'll be some level of controversy if they win, just like, when they won in 2010. And Washington, who had the number 1 power play at the time, didn't get a single power play for like 2.5 games. And there happened to be half of game 5, all of game 6, and all of game 7. And they disallowed a goal that Mike Knuble, in my opinion, did not interfere with the goalie at all. So anyway, it is what it is. Carolina, New Jersey. This one is interesting to me. I think a lot of people are ruling New Jersey out because they don't have Jack Hughes. And I almost feel like they've played better and they're getting Dougie Hamilton back. But Luke Hughes has actually done a better job. They've actually had a better record with Hamilton out. I think Hamilton's a guy that they should consider trading. I think if they don't do anything, what do you think here? Carolina, New Jersey.
I'm actually picking New Jersey. I know that
Joseph Lanham's with you. Devils in 6.
Here's my bold prediction. Jake Allen will carry this team to the next round. He should start.
Yeah, he should start. I don't think it's a bold prediction at all. I think if you look at the numbers, if you look at the playoff numbers, Allen has better numbers. He's done more in the playoffs. I like Jake Allen over Markstrom right now, and Markstrom hasn't played great since coming back from injury. I'm 100% with you.
And I think the Jesper Bratt, very underrated. Nico Hischier, I think, is
I think Jesper Bratt is the most underrated player in the NHL.
He would be on my list. Him, Kyle Connor, another one. You look at Stefan Niessen as a 20-goal scorer. Dawson Mercer is a good player. You've got Paul Cotter was a nice little ad. He's got 16 goals. Cody Glass has added a lot.
Yep, that was a nice pickup that nobody's talking about. They got him from Pittsburgh.
I think that people are sleeping on New Jersey. I think they're a better team than people realize. I think they are a better team than Carolina. I'm confident in this one.
I'm glad J-Dub Josh Dubriel is in here. I am picking the Canes, but here's my thing with the Canes. I am concerned about he sure is a beast. He sure, in my opinion, and I'm with my main man Singsy, he sure should probably win the Selke. He should be a candidate. I will say this. I do not like the Canes goaltending. Freddie Anderson, not good. I like Kochekov, but they have seemed reluctant to commit to him. I think Carolina's a little older on their back end with Burns. Now, this Nikishin X factor, everything I hear about this guy, going to be incredible. I think he could be a big, big factor in Carolina winning. I know, Josh, you've been a little bit down on their defensive play. I think he could be a nice late ad. I think they have a lot of young developing players that can come in and spell some of the guys if they're injured. I like Carolina the way they play. I just wonder if that style is sustainable. Yes, Darkness Hamilton is back. Dougie Hamilton is back for the New Jersey Devils. I only think that helps them like on their power play though. They don't have to play Hughes the whole time or Hamilton the whole time. So yeah, Nikishin's going to be great. I think he'll get playing time, Josh, because someone's going to get injured. I think someone will get hurt and someone will get injured and he's going to get playing time anyway. So Darkness likes the Devils too. We got a lot of people on the Devils. I would not be surprised if the Devils won this series. But Carolina's not going to panic. They're not going to fire Rod. They don't care. They're just going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
They are exactly who they are, but I just don't believe Carolina has the goaltending of the offense. To me, I just think
when you take away Marty Necas and Logan Stankoven is what you have left. And I do like the Taylor Hall ad, but I just feel like it's probably a bridge too far. J-Rock says, this may be the only series I don't tune in at all. I don't find anything interesting about this series. Oh, I found a lot. Hey, Pam, thank you so much for being with us. Always appreciate you being in the chat. Have a good night.
I feel like the Devils fan base is a
great fan base.
It's a great fan base. And I don't know. I think this series, this is probably, I think everybody would agree, considering the card that we have, this is probably your intermission of your wrestling card. But I wouldn't sleep on it. I think that there's some interesting things that can happen.
Speaking of wrestling card, don't forget this weekend, WrestleMania, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Live from Vegas. I almost stayed. Okay. Okay. I think we got the first rounds good to go. I don't think we have to go in any. I think we come back and preview, but do you want to go through who you think is in the Cup final? Or do you want to preview this round 2 of your teams? Or I think we just say, who do you think's in the Cup final? I think we kind of gave our first round matchups.
I guess this will be my early one. I think from the East, it's Tampa. I think from the West, I have been with Colorado, but I'm hearing a lot.
I'm going to Colorado too.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people pick Vegas, and it's making me hesitate. But I started with Colorado. I will stick with Colorado to win the Cup over Tampa Bay. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But I did have to be fair. I had the Rangers in the final.
Sorry. I think we're losing the TikTok people. Hold on.
Oh.
Yep, go ahead. Say what you were going to say again.
Yeah, caller. I've got caller. I've had a lot of people saying, I'm hearing a lot of people picking Vegas, and it kind of just sparked a thought in me. But I started with Colorado. I will stay with Colorado.
Yeah, I would not be. Yeah, I would not be shocked if Vegas is there. I will be shocked if Edmonton is there. I will not be shocked if Vegas is there. I will not be shocked if Colorado is there. I would not be shocked if Dallas is there. And I most certainly would not be shocked if the Winnipeg Jets are there. Those are the 4 teams I could see from the West. I'm taking the Colorado Avalanche, but I could see the Winnipeg Jets making it. So
I will say this. I will say this. John said that the Blues have 2019 vibes. Ottawa has some 2004 Flame vibes.
yeah, but they lost. What about the Los Angeles Kings? I keep hearing 2010 vibes with them a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
The West
maybe.
is deeper, but that means they'll beat each other up more too. I also think that on the Eastern side, we could see a Canadian team in the finals, either Toronto or Ottawa. I think either of those two could make it. I do not think the Montreal Canadiens can make the finals.
No, I don't see it, but I could see Ottawa making the run, but it would be a magical one for sure.
Yeah. I like if they stay injury free and they get great goaltending and their young guys step up. My final is the same as yours, Tampa and Colorado. My big concern with Colorado is what are they going to get from their goaltending? But if Blackwood falters, I like Wedgwood. I like what they have there. They have the 2 goalie tandem. They're not afraid to make changes. I think Bednar is one of the best coaches in the NHL. I think you put him right up there with the guy that we think he's going to be playing against in John Cooper. Obviously, a lot of luck, a lot of puck luck. I've got the Colorado Avalanche winning. I have seats at the finals guaranteed if Colorado makes it. So part of me is like, boy, I hope it's Colorado and my Caps, but I don't think their Caps are going to make it. But if they do. They had the best record in the East. They could do it.
And that is a good home. That is a great home ice advantage to Washington. So I'm not counting them out. I have them in the Eastern Final, but I wouldn't count them out. But
I would love honestly, just with my boy Hot Take Hockey and for stuff, I would love to see the Capitals and Leafs in the finals. Josh says he didn't expect much out of the Canes this year. As far as I'm concerned, we've overachieved. Anything this year is good. Yeah, I think though, Josh, I think a lot of us would like to see Brent Burns win a Stanley Cup. I would be like, I'm not going to be sad if the Canes go on a run. Like, I don't get anything. I know I think they have a great fan base too. So it is what it is. I think, but I think we're on the same thoughts, Kev. I think we're kind of these are the teams. This is the way we see the matchups. I could see Edmonton in the conference finals. Like you said, it could be McDavid and Draisaitl go to God mode. I know I saw somebody say, but Draisaitl didn't score a goal. Draisaitl didn't score a goal in the last 2 games of the Stanley Cup final, but I think he led the playoffs in goals. Did he not? Last year?
Yeah, it was him and McDavid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, McDavid broke a Wayne Gretzky playoff points record. That's why he won the Conn Smythe. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a good time to call it an evening. But if you want to talk about anything else, any alibis?
We will be talking. So we're going to do a Flames wrap up and a Canucks wrap up. Tomorrow, Flames. Sunday, we're talking Canucks. Just wrapping.
You're going to have Devin and the Beardy Canuck Sean join you, or what do we got here for the Shifts and Pucks fans?
Beardy Canuck is going to join me for Beardy, and Tyler and Chris is going to join the chat Vancouver. Dan Stevenson from Fireside Chat is going to join to talk about the Flames. Devin is very busy. Devin, you're invited if you're out there. But
Devin, have a glass of wine, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So be looking out for Kevin and the Shifts and Pucks guys. We'll be back NHL Nightly. I'll probably do a couple live streams for the playoffs. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to have the NHL Nightly show. Looks like Perlo is pretty much entrenched with the Ice guys, so we're not going to see him. Rico's doing some stuff, and the degenerate Bostonian's going to join me. But man, he's a college hockey gambler, so he doesn't really have anything to say. I appreciate all you guys. Have a great Friday night. We had a high numbers, 41 people, 45. I think we tapped out of 55. A lot on X. We'll get a lot on X. So just remember, X folks, you can always chime in and type in the chat. If you click on the thing, we can see your stuff. So we have that every once in a while. I think Adam Glickus came in my show earlier. We had the the College Hockey Show wrap-up Frozen 4 show earlier today, so go back and watch that if you missed it. Charlie, appreciate you, everybody. All the people on TikTok. I think we probably had close to 200 people kind of scroll through TikTok and watch us talk here. I'll figure out where we can get both screens at one point so you can see all the stuff. But Kev and I both have Colorado and Tampa. Who you have winning, Kev?
Colorado right now, but I could change my mind.
So we have a rematch of the 2022 finals. I'm right there with you. I have the Avs 1 and 2.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate everybody. Have a great night. Thanks to all the people that joined on this Shifts and Pucks, Facebook and YouTube, and everybody else that joined on my TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Instagram. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Finals, Jets and Tampa. I'd love it, Charlie. Let's go.
Let's go.
So, all right, you guys. Appreciate you.